New Nicolas Cage movie that's out, and it's in the theaters. It's a creature feature with a bit of a family drama element in it, and I'm going to tell you all about it here. Once this earthquake and close shots slow down. What's up, guys, and welcome back to Beyond the Void Horror Podcast. My name is Alex, and today we're going to do a spoiler-free review of a Nicolas Cage movie that just came out that's a creature feature called Arcadian. And you're going to want to know about this one because I think there's going to be some people that really want to see this, and some people that might have some gripes with it, but I'll have to explain. First of all, when you hear Nick Cage, everybody always freaks out and goes, oh my God, is it going to be the crazy Nick Cage? Tone your expectations down on that part a little bit. This is much more of a balanced, sort of nuanced family drama that involves the end of the world, and it has a lot more to it than just his like wilder, crazier roles. If you know anything about Nicolas Cage, one of his favorite genres is family drama, and he does a good job here. First of all, what is Arcadian all about? Well, it's about a father and his two twin sons who are in the end of the apocalypse. 15 years after the apocalypse started, there is some sort of event that is involving something with the earth and how we treated it somehow, and these creatures are attacking people and they don't know exactly why. In fact, the movie doesn't really tell you anything other than there's an apocalypse and they're trying to survive it each night. Every night, the kids and the father lock up their house good and tight to prevent all the creatures from breaking in and taking them. In fact, it seems like this world, they've actually been doing this for quite some time, and they're a little bored of it because some of them are kind of pushing the boundaries to live a life of something rather than be cased in a world where you're only inside all day long. They can actually go out during the daytime because these things don't seem to attack, and there are other survivors out there. So it is kind of a world that has been worn by this apocalyptic event, and they never really fully tell you what that is. And I'm fine with that. Personally, I'm fine with that. I know there are going to be people out there that need everything spelled out. I don't. I just wanted to go in, see a creature feature film that might have a little bit of heart and some scares and some fighting back, because in the trailer they talk about, I don't want to fucking hide anymore. I want to fight back. Now, there are some good things and some bad things about this movie that I'm going to talk about. For the most part, I had a very good experience with this movie as far as the story, the acting, the characters, the setting. The creatures were very cool, like super really freaky looking creatures doing really different things than I've ever seen in any other movie, other than the fact that, you know, they don't come out during the daytime. This is something wholly original that I've never seen before, and boy is it weird. It didn't go too far weird, like there was that movie The Darkest Hour where like all the creatures were these like wheels or something. I have no idea. This one is much more in line with something like A Quiet Place, and specifically because we have a family of sorts. Even though it's just a father and two sons, it is a family unit. It's much different than that story, but there are going to be some obvious comparisons there. I really enjoyed Nick's character in this. He isn't the main character of this film, just so you know. He is a father, and he's a good one in this movie, I think. The movie shows that he has done some really heroic things in order to save his kids, and I think that's probably what appealed to Nick Cage in this particular movie, is that he wasn't just playing some character who was worn down, but a character that actually gave a shit about his kids. And it really actually shines through in here. The two kids that are in the movie, that are his sons, fantastic work. We got Jaden Martell, who played Bill in the It remakes, the Volume 1 and 2. Maxwell Jenkins, who was in the Lost in Space TV series on Netflix. These kids were really dynamic together and very different in their own ways. They're trying to show their strengths and weaknesses in this movie. Kind of reminded me of that dynamic that they do in some movies where it's like the one kid's smarter, but the other kid's like super cool and like a jock. It kind of has that dynamic to the two, and they are sort of button heads a couple of ways because they have very different ways about attacking and being creative and you know, surviving. I really liked everybody in this. I thought they were really good. And there's some pretty decent CGI and stuff that they do in the film. There's a lot of moments of tension, the kids being, you know, kids, and the father trying to hold it together, and them sort of venturing out, doing their own thing and being an adult in a world that was never meant for them to exist, but they're there. I've been talking a lot about the good stuff here, and I promised you I would get to the bad stuff. A lot of what I did not like in this film, there was a couple of things. One, there is a lot of shaky cam in this movie. I know a little bit about, you know, camera work and using a handheld versus a gimbal and using sort of that shaky effect that you can do in the post-processing, and it feels like they turned this up to 99. There are literal still moments where they focus in on Nick Cage and he's laying on the bed and the camera's just shaking around pretty bad. I wanted to see the creatures, and you know, they were really cool, whatever they were, but I couldn't focus my eyes on them. And yeah, that's a technique too. You're not supposed to ruin the creature right away. You kind of drag it out to the end until you fully see them so that you don't really ruin the experience, because that's a tactic to make you more scared of what it is, because if you can't identify it, then it's scarier. And the things that these creatures do in the movie and how they look are really unique. So I definitely was curious, but I think at some point I was supposed to get paid off by how they looked, and there was just too many dark moments mixed with too much shaky cam that I couldn't make out what their faces were like. And I don't know what they were supposed to be, but it was still cool nonetheless. And I hate to say that because I really was getting into this movie so much. It does have some slow parts, but the characters are so good that it really pushes you along with the mystery and the things that happen each night. And a lot of the scenes, which not all of them, have extreme close-ups. So instead of just, you know, where I'm kind of proportionate in here, it's like really focused in on the faces. And I want to be clear, this isn't me just being super picky about something. This was extremely noticeable, and I actually went back to the trailer and experienced it in the trailer too. Now, if you're watching it on a smaller screen, I'm assuming that it looks a lot better. But if you're watching it blown up on a big screen, you're gonna notice the smallest movement. Oftentimes, what a director will do is they will use that slight movement to keep the viewer busy, sort of to make them feel like they're not bored, or to feel present in the moment as a viewer. It kind of helps it feel more authentic. It is a subtle technique that is done that most films use. But I have a feeling that the director of this movie, Benjamin Brewer, who has worked with a lot of like music videos and stuff, he also did The Trust with Nicolas Cage. I'm wondering if maybe he was actually nervous about the movie coming off as too slow. And so he kind of overdid it a little bit in the editing process, or somebody made that decision to try to keep it interesting. Even in the earlier movie parts in the movie where things weren't happening, this was really going on. I also know that close-up shots are done specifically to give you a sort of claustrophobic thing. They did this technique in underwater. Some people didn't like underwater because it was a little too close. I didn't have any problem with it. I'm actually pretty forgiving of these kind of things. So for me to see that in the theater, I think maybe the worst experience of that. I'm just hoping it doesn't bother everybody, but it's hard for me to suggest to go to the theater when that happens to me. Christina got a headache. I got a headache. I'm bummed out actually because of it, because I really enjoyed the movie. So it really kind of ruined the experience for me in some ways. The other thing that bothered me, other than the close-ups and the shaky cam, was there was a moment where there was this like heartfelt piano that was playing in the background. And I was like, wait a second, I know that song. I'm pretty sure, I couldn't find it, but it was a TikTok song. It fit in the movie, but it took me out as a viewer because I had heard it so much on TikTok. And these sentimental moments that were supposed to be really good were thwarted by this TikTok sad music that was like the generic sort of thing, it felt like. The music and the close-up shots, I can you know, look past. Normally I can look past most all of this stuff, but it's hard to look past something if you can't look at something. It was just too much, and it's unfortunate. I'm hoping that when it comes to Shudder sometime later this year, I'll be able to watch it and see a different movie than I saw in the theater. It's super unfortunate, but I'm trying to be as thoughtful about this movie as I possibly can, okay? So yeah, with that said, I would probably give this movie a 6.5 out of 10, maybe a 6 out of 10 because of the problems that I experienced. If you don't experience it, I hate you, because I really wanted to love this movie. But yeah, if the problems weren't there, I'd say maybe a 7.5 or higher. But yeah, it's just one of those things that it just didn't work out in this film, and it sucks because what's in here is really good. There are moments it doesn't, you know, freak out all over the screen. So I hope you don't have the same experience as me. But I have to tell you, I warned you, if it does happen to you, not my fault. I did my due diligence as a reviewer. Aha! But yeah, that's what I have to say about this film. It should have been a great film, even if it borrowed slightly from other films that have done it better a little bit. It still was unique, interesting, well acted, but has some serious technical problems that really kind of thwart my experience. Let me know what you think in the comment section down below. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like and subscribe button. But yeah, thank you guys so much for coming by, and as always, long live the void.